The review of proposed stipulation, Bryan, Hammock, Metairie Auctions.
Yes, you have in your packet a letter from the attorney for Mr. Hammock. The original stipulation is presented by vote. Again, it was voted on last meeting. Specifically, it was a $1,000 fine, $2,000, and then the total expenses, which he had calculated to be $2,100 in attorney's fees and $886.59 in investigative service costs. He also would have to pay for his reinstatement, which would be $150 to renew and $75 late fee. And Metairie Auctions, which is a separate firm, would be at $300 to renew and $75 late fee. Again, that would be subject to approval. Ms. Goodwin has filed this letter. You have both the original letter and her last letter. As to her presentation, she would ask that the board waive the fine in the amount of $1,000 and allow him to pay only the attorney investigative fees and accept the one-year suspension commencing on May 10, 2016 as a counter proposal to the original stipulation. What we do with these is we prepare the stipulation to be signed by the complainant, the licensee, and then countersigned by the board individually. We file it in his record if that's what the board decides it wants to do.
The hearing was held at the last meeting.
We haven't had it.
We haven't had a hearing on it?
Yeah, they're trying to do this by stipulation. I don't think Mr. Hammock wants to drive here for this.
He doesn't want to pay the fine.
He doesn't want to pay the fine. And I'm going to agree with him. It's a substantial amount of money. His original complaint was number one. He renewed his license and sort of lied to us in his renewal form saying he was still licensed in Virginia, which is the reciprocal state court. He was not licensed at that time. He did eventually renew his license with Virginia, which made it retroactive. That's part of our argument, saying that he's cured the problem, which he has, as far as we can tell. And we did confirm with Virginia that he has taken care of that problem. The second was, while this was going on, he was listed sort of, and I say sort of because it was very confusing, as the auctioneer on auction to be held in Jefferson Parish. Upon determination, he did not come to that auction. At the very last minute, they obtained the services of Harlan Moore, who believed that he was only calling the auction. He was not actually handling the auction. As a result, the money for that auction was handled by a non-licensed entity, so that caused a problem. Now, Mr. Moore has since died and is not available to us as a witness. We do have statements from him, but that would be all we can have at this point. He did respond to a complaint we filed against him for handling an auction for an unlicensed entity, and that's very unclear. As I pointed out in this letter, we did check the Jefferson Parish Sheriff's Office, and all sales taxes for this particular auction were paid appropriately, and they are satisfied in Jefferson Parish that that part has been taken care of. They were paid by Metairie Auctions, which then begs the question, were they really the one handling the auction all along? So, as a result, they're trying to stipulate this. They're agreeing to our stipulation except for the fine itself.
What about giving him time to pay the fine?
If we could do so, that'd be a question that we did not present in the original.
Well, I'm not for waiving the fine, but I think we should give him time for paying the fine.
And again, this is a stipulation. If he doesn't agree to it, we would go to hearing.
Does he live in Virginia?
Yes. To the best of our knowledge. I've actually never talked to Mr. Hammock. I'm not sure that Sandy's ever talked to Mr. Hammock. Jim Steele has talked to Mr. Hammock. But we've confirmed his address with Virginia.
Well, I don't think he necessarily has to come here if he agrees to pay the fine, which I think he probably would. If he doesn't have the money, you can give him terms.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. This letter indicates in your packet, doesn't want to pay the fine. He wants to pay the expenses.
I think it was a counter that was proposed.
It's a counter proposal. I don't agree with I'm going to go on record and say I do not agree with the counter proposal because he did falsify the information by saying that he was in good standing in Virginia and clearly wasn't.
Let me give you your options. We can say no fine, go forward with suspension and the payment of cost. We can say no, we're going to go ahead with the fine, but give him time that's what you desire. Or we can say we don't agree to any of these and we just set it for here.
I'm for 3, number 3. That's number 3.
What's the total amount of,
About,
Oh, the total amount again,
$29.86 and 59 cents. So $2,986.59 he has agreed to pay.
and then?
Plus the $1,000.
Fine.
$1,000 was a fine added on top of that.
so he is paying a substantial amount, and has agreed to do so along with the suspension of his license, that very time.
I couldn't vote to do that because all those auctioneers in the state, we put a fine, they paid the fines, except one that I know of, so I can't go along with that. Let him off the fine because he lied on his application.
number 3.
Would you,
So whatever we decide is the final decision, are we going point counterpoint?
No, this would be the final decision, yeah. I agree that he was upset with the amount of money, but he only was contesting, and he knows the amount of cost. He's only contesting the $1,000 fine. Of course, you could reduce the fine if you wanted to, and again, this is a stipulation. We're gonna try to do more stipulations to keep the costs down to some extent. But this is one that we needed to,
I think he would pay the fine. I don't think there's any
Yeah,
problem with that,
Balks.
in terms.
does he have an active auction business?
He is not licensed in Louisiana at the moment.
yeah, he's
I
not
thought
here,
about
but
Virginia.
in Virginia, he has got an active license. I have not checked the yellow,
But
but
he wasn't at the time, and he said he was.
that's a problem, yes.
Under those circumstances, I don't agree with the lawyer giving us a note to leave, or a counter proposal.
Well, he and I both told her she could do it.
Yeah, we
So
told her.
I don't agree with
She
that.
couldn't get in touch with me, so she called Daddy. and
She
said-
can do it, but that doesn't mean that, you
Mama
know,
said-
the board has to do it.
No. I said, if you want to float another proposal, I'll be glad to take
The proposal is that he pay the fine, if you give him terms.
Or were the terms given as,
No.
I think
for
we've
any
all-
of this.
We've
No,
given him
no,
all,
you're
we
gonna
get
let
paid
him
the
12
fine.
months to pay the fine.
That's right.
We can give him until the end of his suspension
Right,
to pay
yeah,
costs.
that's good with me.
Because he's going to have that plus a reinstatement if he wants to pay partially. I'll be honest with you, I think of the ones that we give him time, have we had any of them actually paid?
No. Well, no, sorry, let me go back. Yes,
Yeah, we have.
yes,
Okay.
but generally no.
It was in May, I think.
So the vote would be, the motion would be to stick with our original proposal, to make a different decision, or to simply say we'll go to hearing. Of course, if there's no acceptance of both sides, we will go to hearing.
I vote that we go with the original proposal and give him time to pay the fine.
Is that a motion?
That's a motion.
I'll second that.
Thank you, sir.
All those in favor?
I do want to make comment on this motion.
Go ahead, Mr. Bryan.
All right. Let me just first of all say that for 7 years I followed this board and there was never, ever any effort to recover cost. There was, if you go on the Keith Babb's profile, there is a handwritten notation that we made with regard to him threatening a complainant with the cost of these proceedings. I find it very coincidental that now all of a sudden the board is having a fixation on recovering cost. Secondly, if you're going to use lying on an application as the standard, and I heard that to be a very egregious act, I can go give you a number of instances where that transpired. One of the most prominent that comes to mind is Barbara Bonnet back in 2010. She even showed up for the hearing, got the recording of it, and she said, you know what, guilty. Okay, and the board voted to find her not guilty. I'll make note of the fact she's in state, this gentleman's out of state. Thank you.
I would call for the original motion, Mr. Chairman.
And another motion?
On the motion, I'm remake my motion that we stick with the original stipulation, and that he be given time, if necessary, to pay the $1,000 fine.
Second again, same thing. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes.
Move we adjourn.
Thank you, sir.
The next meeting is Monday, September 12th.